And I know that you and I share the belief that everybody got a thing.
Or, you know, everybody has a catalog of things, which is what I'm starting to discover. So I'm even in a transition right now where my thing is morphing. You know, I am, as I'm sure you can tell, I'm fairly animated, right?
Mm-hmm. A little bit.
But one of the things that it happens is the more us we are, the more we tap into things that are really meaningful to us and that might not have seemed important,
right,
but that sort of keep coming back. So I'll give you a little story. When I was about 5 years old, or maybe I was 4, I can't remember when you learn how to tie your shoes, but it's sometime sort of before major school starts kind of age. I learned how to tie my shoes. And the feeling to be somebody who's sort of waist high to everyone, and everybody is always having to like help you in and out of things and on and off with things. And, you know, there's all this power stuff that happens around when you're 4 or 5, you know, and learning how to tie my shoes was a time where I literally felt like I was a foot taller. I just was so proud of myself, and I was so amazed that I didn't know how to do it before that time. You know, when you learn something, you say, oh, how could I have not known how to do this before? So I made it my personal mission to teach as many little kids how to tie their shoes as I could. Okay, here's what this looked like. This looked like grocery store mom. You know, my mom at that time was 25. She's a young woman. She was working her butt off, right? So we're at the grocery store, and I'm walking up and down the aisles looking for kids. So you sidle up to somebody and say, hi, I'm Diana. Do you know how to tie your shoes? And the little kids go like this, you know. And I'd say, sit down, I'm going to show you right now. So the entire calendar year, I was an insane person about teaching other kids how to tie their shoes. Now, this is a kid story, right? I didn't really even recall the story until some years ago. I think my mom reminded me of it, and I thought, that's my thing. Like, I learned something, and I couldn't believe how it changed my life. Therefore, I must share it with the world, period. There's not an option. If I found something that took me out of that place where I was like, anything, I would do anything that I could do to just stay under the covers for a period of time, where I was, you know, just finished my master's degree, my business was growing, and it was kind of growing faster than I was ready for it to grow. And I was like, I can't take the pressure, you know? And so in that time, here's this story, and I thought, well, okay, I'm going to teach people how to tie their shoes, and in business, in life. So I say we just all look for that story, or look for that thing, or even ask our parents or our friends or our kids to tell us stories about ourselves, about how they see us in our most like natural states, and see if there's something there that resonates. Just play with it.
Mm-hmm. What about strengths? Like, how do people know what their strengths are?
Well, you know, there are a lot of ways into that. I mean, I think that, you know, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have any business doing it. So that's something that I feel very strongly about, because I spent years doing things that I was perfectly good at, and in fact other people felt I was really brilliant at them, and they made me want to stick a pen into my eye. And I kept doing them because it was like, oh, I should have a job, so I have a job, so that's good, and you know, it's whatever, all of the sort of requirements, and I was really bummed out. And it sort of took a friend of mine really calling me out on that. So my friend Geisler, who we had been friends for years, and he was just hilarious and fun and just there, and like one of those core friends who really knows you. He, after I finished a job, a very big, involved, very intense 70-hour-a-week job for 4 years, the project finished. So I ended that job, and I was having a phone conversation with him after, as I was sort of debriefing that experience. And he said, I need to tell you something. And I said, okay, go ahead. And he said, if you ever take a job like that again, that has nothing to do with who you are, I'm not going to be available to you as a friend. So the reason I bring this up in the context of strengths is that I hear Skylar's voice every time I'm on the precipice of doing something I'm good at, but isn't necessarily rooted in my strengths and isn't necessarily based on my values. So that's why I put it in context, because a lot of times people think that your strength is what you're good at. You may be absolutely fantastic at cooking for people, and you may not want to do that day in and day out, right? Especially if you've already done that for your 2 or 3 or 4 kids and your, spouses and your family and stuff like that. You may not want to be a professional chef, even though you could do that. You'd be good at it. So my way into a strength conversation is to look at those things that without them you would have a different name if you didn't have those. Basically, like my name would be Matilda if I was really, my strength was getting like little particular things done and making Excel spreadsheets. I would literally be a different person. Yeah. That is not where my strengths are, by the way. Yeah. But my name is Dyana Valentine, and I am absolutely rooted in my power and my strength when I am on stage live and I'm interacting with a giant audience. I have no question about it. And could you feel that when I said it?
Every fiber of my being, yeah.
Okay, so here, that's the litmus test. For me, I like to process with other people. So if you want to practice, this is for you and for all the people watching, if you want to practice seeking out your strengths like a little investigative reporter, you can start to talk about the things that you're good at, talk about the things that you really like, talk about the things that you value, and have somebody else listen to you and listen for when that zing happens. To listen for when they go, oh, wait, what did you say? Say that one again. Just, play with talking about yourselves. We're not used to talking about ourselves.
Like, do we need to hit a wall?
A trauma, yeah. I don't think so. I mean, I think that that's a very commonly held concept, is that, you have to hit bottom before you can bounce back up or something. I'm kind of a drama queen, so like I love theories like that, because I'm like, oh, right, so I have to be more depressed. Okay, well, I should probably have an extra bottle of wine on hand then for that, that transition or whatever. But really, I don't think so, because even in this past year, I've been making a transition to do more speaking and more sort of performing of stories and using that as a catalyst for people to change. And and I haven't had a major trauma, but I did have a sort of sense that something needed to come out, and I just kept trying to pay attention to it and listen and quiet down and see. I was experimenting a lot. So sometimes it can be a major trauma or a really major belly flop of a failure or something, but I don't think, I don't know, I'm not really that into the whole punishment model that like you have to pay your dues and all that stuff. I don't I think that can be kind of destructive. So I'm going to go with no.
Yeah. I think you should go with no. I like that.
Yeah.
What do you want? This is so big, but what do you want for the people that are watching you right now?
Here's what I want for you, all of you watching this. I want for you to believe yourself. And I don't mean believe in yourself, but I want you to believe yourself. I want you to believe what you experience. I want you to believe what you say to yourself and to other people. I want you to believe that you are on the planet and we are happy that you're here. I want you to believe that if you know something is not working for you, that you can make that change. You don't have to make it now, but I want you to believe that you know the difference between right and right now.